많이
모닝 LPI.
Welcome back, everybody. That was a shorter commercial than I thought it was going to be. Still got some Reese's Pieces in my mouth. It's okay. We're going to be jumping into the second match of the night, SOS versus Patience. And it's a PvP. As we said before, SOS, he doesn't really care about this. He just wants to get that $800, which is really why he wants to win, which is also a big part of this format that I really like here for SSL Premier. This match does matter for him in terms of money. He will be trying very hard, but Patience, a lot on the line in terms of what place he's going to get, which will definitely determine, you know, where he's going to stand at the end of this. What day of Fastlane does he have to play, or even if he can get 5th place and not have to play in Fastlane and just stay in Premier altogether.
Yeah, that's gonna. A lot of that will rely on Dark's defeat later on this evening, and that's what Patience was talking about a lot in the makeup room. He says, like, look, I'm really focused on this series. I really want to take the 2-0 for the money, but like, I don't think Dark's gonna lose, so it might not matter anyways that I win this one. In terms of the comparison between their play, SOS looked really, honestly, exhausted in the booth, and he's had a tough season. He and Zest both have really just been the punching bags, as we like to call them, in the round-robin format of the league. And there's always a team like that, it feels like, in every round-robin. You know, in Heroes of the Storm, it's Raven, and Pro League, it was Prime. You know, there's always a bottom-tier player. And in this case, SOS and Zest are both there in this 10-man round-robin. But he has a chance to at least redeem himself in this last best-of-3.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can do it here. We're going to be jumping into Newkirk Precinct for map number 1, and then we go into Overgrowth and Frost. We do get to game 3, but either way, here we go, guys. Set number 1 between SOS and Patience.
SOS, 김유진. Patience, 조지현.
Here we go, Newkirk Precinct, Fly Better Fly, Jin Air. Almost forgot that. Here we go, down in the bottom right, it is SOS from the Jin Air Green Wings.
And his opponent, to the bottom left, it is Patience, the Dead Pixels player. So, this match, it definitely feels like, you know, it reminds me of oftentimes like a Samsung match in Pro League where we're like, Samsung's 5th or 6th place, you know, doesn't really matter in terms of playoffs, we're going to cast it. It always would end up being that way in the last week of regular season with a team like Samsung or CJ. It's like, well, they didn't make it, but this match does matter. There's a lot of pride on the line, and I know for those watching, it probably doesn't feel that epic that we're watching 2 players that are not going to playoffs and will not be playing. There's no chance for them to enter the grand finals. But there's definitely a lot to learn from this PvP, and I'm sure SOS will not disappoint because he is the king of innovation, and on Newkirk Precinct especially, where you could do any sort of weird Stargate play.
Also,
he's going to be the one doing the cheesing or the unusual tactics here.
Also in a game like this where, you know, honestly, he's playing for the money, but I think also he wants to show some pretty interesting games. I think this will definitely be the most likely series to just see something totally insane.
Well, I mean,
already it looks like
DTs.
Yeah, that's the position for DTs.
So let's see if he decides to commit to like a DT drop, because this is a good map for it. The idea with the tight wall off is that Patience can't see what he's doing. Patience actually leaves his base completely open because he's doing a very standard opening with the 2 gateways. He's going to harass us a little bit. So this should be a Twilight Council coming down immediately. There it is. So he's going to do a DT rush here with the hidden pylon. So those of you who are new to StarCraft 2, the reason why you place it here is so that it can't be scouted by your opponent. And in the case of this, like, yes, SOS has a tight wall, so you could say, like, well, why isn't he just making it in the main base then? But there's a lot of different ways to scout, especially on this map. The Mothership Core could just simply fly across the map and see it, because if you, while you're rushing this, you don't have anti-air to deny that scout. So eventually Patience does look for proxies, but he's more concerned about the proxy Stargate. That's why he's checking the close location where the Stargate would be placed. Because a Dark Shrine can be placed anywhere on the map and still allow you to warp in DTs, that's why he hides it to the least likely location for there to be a Stargate up to the top right.
Yeah, and you can see this probe, as you were saying, it's going around the most likely areas for a Stargate, but it will not see anything. And what is the build that we see out of Patience, actually? He just makes 2 gateways and then puts down a Nexus, so no further tech just yet. Making a bunch of Stalkers here to start off for the defense, but still just doesn't really have an idea of what's going on.
Now, if he skips the Robo, it may cost him this game. Another big question is, will SOS add the pylon with the gateway? Like, where does he place that pylon? Does Patience see that? Or does he just take the riskiest, slowest DT warp in terms of speed? So Twilight Council comes down, no Robo. This is scouted, by the way.
That's the one tech that doesn't give you any detection, and he's going to be in a world of hurt here as the pylon is finishing up. Wargate research about to line up here with the finishing of the Dark Shrine. There is the robotics facility, finally.
Okay, so just to point out one thing about the pylon. See the pylon that's over at the 9 o'clock? It's the reason to warp in the DT. It's going to be slow warp. He may, actually made a gateway here, so he's going to do it to the top right. I don't know if that would actually end up being faster. Okay, doesn't do it. Just has the extra hidden gateway. Now, the reason why he makes it like this, if something walks by those DTs, unless you have detection or you see the blur, you can't actually know it's warping in, but the pylon is on the high ground, so it's hidden. So this is actually good pylon placement. If you're ever going to DT rush, do it like this. Here come the DTs. The sentry is out, but it's not in position.
It's not the ramp.
Will he just target down the Robo? I think if he targets on the Robo, he just wins the game.
Force field should come down here. There's that target on the Robo.
Yeah, I mean, this is just too slow. I think this is a build order win. The Observer cannot come out in time. Nothing he can do about it. Once that goes down...
He's going to try with 1 force field and some Stalkers, but it's not enough. GG. SOS. What a build.
There you go. This should come as no surprise to anyone, of course, in our viewership today and those in the studio, as this is just what SOS does. Probably would have done this if this was the match that decided whether he was going into playoffs, but he definitely is going to do it in the match that doesn't matter to him except for prize money.
Yeah, and you could see the way that Patience reacted to the wall off too. It's like, okay, I know I'm playing against SOS, I know he's going to do something tricky. But he brings the Mothership Core back because he's like, okay, if it's really fast Oracles, I need to have it back there for the overcharge. Doesn't get a scout on the main. Wouldn't have been able to see, hey, there's no Stargate here. There might be, you know, a proxied Twilight Council as well, or even that proxied Stargate. So, wow, he won within 5 minutes of game time. I think that's the first time we've seen that. Maybe the second time, but definitely in SOS achievements.
Yeah, definitely so. Yeah, I don't even think any of our ZVZs have ended that quickly, so it might be the first time.
Maybe the BL versus Dark one where he cheesed him in game 1.
Yeah, could be. Well, now SOS is actually on the brink of winning this best of 3, which means a lot more for his opponent Patience, who in SOS defense, he did a cheese that's quite common. Patience played greedy, did not play safely with the Robo. Against a player like SOS who has nothing to gain, whereas he has a lot to lose, it was a risky choice. We're going to go into game number 2, see if SOS can close it out.
Here we go. Overgrowth for map 2. Down here in the bottom left, the red Protoss. We'll see if he has any other tricks up his sleeve. It's SOS.
I'm sure he does. And up to the top right, in blue, it's his opponent Patience. SOS probably has enough tricks for this to be a best of 7 and then some. But he wants to get out of here quick, get that $800, and go back to the Jin-Air house to practice for Challenger.
So I was looking at the achievements. There's actually a sheet that we have here, amongst other things such as the players' birthdays and what looks like a workout kind of formula there. I don't really know what that is, but okay. I think just based on the Korean here, I think Solar was the only other person to win a map in less than 5 minutes. So makes sense. Zerg player probably was a ZVZ. Not 100%, but kind of interesting nonetheless.
Now, on this map, in terms of proxies and cheeses, it wouldn't surprise me. SOS is going to be, once again, going for the tight wall. Would not surprise me if he hides a Dark Shrine top left of the map or something like that again. Here's the tight wall. Going to go ahead and Put this probe in here on the outside. That's very critical. Now, the probe will be scouted by this probe that's coming over.
Very important scout by Patience.
If I were Patience, I would immediately just move click on a SOS probe. Because he's like, oh, okay, it's a tight wall, big surprise. And then if you do that, then that probe can't do anything. You're always going to know. But now he knows that if the probe is not killed, if he doesn't ever find it, there is something on the map, 100%.
Yeah, it's just what you have to assume against SOS, but he looks to actually reveal his probe by his own scout in the base of Patience. So this is kind of the other thing you can do where it's like game 1 you block it off and it's DTs, but game 2 it's just going to be a fast Stargate. So it always keeps you guessing, even though it looks like the same build from the outside looking in. Definitely going to be something new here.
And when you see the probe in the main base, you know that there's nothing to worry about. He's even going to check just to be sure, though.
Who knows?
I mean,
SOS
only SOS would have 2 probes out there, right?
Sneaks it out early and then shows you his second one and says, hey man, there's nothing to worry about.
Like, against any other player, I'd be like, well, this is actually overkill that he's checking. But against SOS, I'm like, no, this is reasonable, okay, for him to check.
He's checking with the mothership core, too, on the right side. Just to be sure.
It's going to be Phoenix, actually.
Doesn't even start with a Oracle. And maybe with this probe, he went in there and saw the mothership core, and he's like, okay, I mean, if this guy is paying attention and his mothership core is in the base, which it should be against me because he will want to play safe, he probably will be able to easily hold off Oracles. But Phoenixes, and not scouted at all by Patience, definitely could come as a surprise.
I wonder what he's going to do with this. He's just going to harass the probe lines and transition into Robotech, or what the idea with this is, because with SOS, it wouldn't shock me if he uses this for a timing attack with the depths and flips up the Immortals, for example.
Or something like add a second Stargate and a fleet beacon and add a third base and just go super greed. I think we saw one Protoss do that. I think it was on Newkirk Precinct. Might have been stats. But
well, there's no units over here, by the way. The mothership core is on the other side of the map, so he's just going to copy and harass. He's going to be forced to reveal his Phoenix tech. He can't actually allow these Stalkers to go through, and he actually cancels that Graviton lift. This is a great position for Patience. You can see the Phoenix tech now as harass. He's going to kill his pylon, and he's even got a probe there. This is nice pressure, much more than what SOS was able to accomplish with his mothership core scout. Blink is going to be the tech immediately after scouting the Phoenixes, so he has more mobility for his Stalkers to use them defensively to chase those Phoenixes down. It's obviously still very difficult to catch Phoenixes even if you do have Blink, but it's going to make dealing with them defensively a lot easier. And it does open up some counterattack potential. Now here's the first harass.
Look at a nice bit of damage, actually, as all the Stalkers weren't back at home and no overcharge. 5 probes for free. There wasn't even a pylon over there, so Patience, he sees the Phoenixes, but doesn't necessarily prepare all that well for them. That means a nice chunk of damage there for SOS, who takes the worker lead.
Yeah. And, you know, the Blink Stalker tech is definitely something that has somewhat of a timer on it, right? Now, SOS is going to make the transition into Immortals. It's just going to tech up here. Prism coming out, so this is usually a sign in this case that Patience wants to actually just attack him before he's ready to defend. This is why a Void Ray is coming out right now, because he's like, all right, need to be ready for a potential Blink Stalker attack. 2 extra gateways are scouted as well, so I like the Void Ray. Might even make a second one. So he's going to have, he's actually making an Observer. I was going to say he's going to have an Immortal coming out too. He just wants to, a little bit extra vision. Picking up the Stalker hurts the push too. Assuming Patience commits to it, because he may change his strategy here.
And for now, he's just macroing up, making a lot of probes, not really cutting much. Finally does add the gases, or at least one at his natural. Finds this Observer, which, knowing SOS, he might just be like, okay, it's time for a Dark Shrine, but doesn't have a Twilight Council, or a little bit early in this game to go for that.
It also just limits the information of Patience as to, like, is this attack viable now? Should I commit to the Blink Stalker attack? Should I take a third base? Just removing that vision is quite important, so that was the reason why it was kind of a risk, but because he had the Phoenixes, knowing that the attack wasn't coming yet, he actually knew there was this window of time, if Patience was going to attack him, that he could get the Observer out before adding the Immortal. Still commits to the second Void Ray before getting the first Immortal. And we'll very soon scout the third base if he hasn't already.
Third Void Ray on the way.
Wow.
I was thinking about this. SOS showed this to us a long time ago. I think in the beginning of 2017, actually, where he just began to add in a bunch of Void Rays.
Obviously, they're
in a different matchup, though, against Terran. So now he's just like, okay, Void Rays are becoming a thing, and they're good in PvP, too.
They're very good against Stalkers, specifically. Like, I don't think they're good. Like, they're good against like Stalkers, Roaches, and Marauders. But like Stalkers, the one thing they shoot up, they're like, we're still scared of a Void Ray.
If you can get enough of them, like a critical mass, which usually I guess about 4, and you have the support of a bunch of Immortals too. Like an only Stalker-based army or a mainly Stalker-based army is not going to do well against that.
Yeah, if he blinks in. If he blinked into this, it would have been, he would have lost everything.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he wouldn't do that, but just in terms of like 1v1 with these units, I know on paper, if you're new to StarCraft, it might look like, well, Stalkers shoot up, they're a counter to the Void Rays. It's like, well, not with support. Void Rays, when they use their prismatic alignment, kill them so quickly. This Mothership core nearly goes down, but he just avoids the overcharge now as he pick off probes. Could come back for the Mothership as well. Decides better of it with the Stalkers here.
SOS has some really good control until he committed to those last couple of kills. He loses 3, actually maybe 4 Phoenixes there on his way out. It's definitely not going to be worth it in the end.
This is so funky because he committed so much to these Void Rays. Patience just harassed at the third and was like, well, I'm never ever going to attack that in a million years. Now we have Oracles and +1, so who knows what we're going to see next. But now he has this army that could actually attack, theoretically, Patience. Patience has an army that could counterattack and harass. But if they meet in the middle of the map like this, and he doesn't have time to actually avoid this army and counterattack, then SOS, we live in a world where he can just attack the third base right now with Void Rays, Immortals, and Adepts, okay?
And imagine if he had 4 more Phoenixes to lift up 4 more Stalkers. That would make the attack even that much more strong.
So the Stalkers are coming around for the counterattack, but it's so late because they met in the middle of the map. He had to take the long way around.
SOS, he's going for the throw. He's going for the natural. He doesn't care about that third. Might see a weird base trade situation. Picks up the Disruptor here. Makes sure that he doesn't lose any units to that. And here we go. Oh,
Patience,
boy.
I think, is doing the one thing he can't do, which is to send the Stalkers back home. Even if he brings them home, I don't think he could defeat this army with pure Blink Stalker. If he needed the Disruptors, he committed to the third base and the Disruptors without realizing that SOS committed this much to Void Rays.
Oh,
yeah, that was
Phoenix
nice.
is not in position to pick that up. And
Now he can beat this army if he just targets down the Immortals. That was the winning move there. He needed the Disruptor hit, and he got it.
Yeah, he really did. Patience easily going to be able to clean this up. His economy is not near that of SOS, but at the same time, cleans up this entire army.
And kills the backbone of it, too. Killed the Immortals, killed the Void Rays, so these Stalkers can be more effective. But, yeah, down 20 workers currently in this game after that, so... Oh, this is what SOS games look like. Too bad the +1 for his Void Rays didn't complete before this. He's going to keep it, though, and he's going to keep making Void Rays. By the way, this is not meta. This is not how this game looks normally, so just SOS things, I guess.
I mean, if he was going to go for this style, I was surprised that he didn't just commit more to the fleet beacon, go into the double Stargate, go into that carrier tech ahead of Patience. But I think when he saw that many Stalkers, he's like, hey, I've got a timing here that I can maybe commit to and do a bunch of damage. But now he's really under pressure.
Oh, man. Patience is losing so many probes at home. I don't even think he realizes his third base is under attack. And now he's even further behind in workers. And now he needs this attack to work. He's going to blink in here. Does get the Void Ray down. Second one's coming in. Needs to turn on that alignment. There it is. Disruptor shot coming in. Kills all the Adepts. All of them.
Every single one. And you can see, as you were saying, 27 more probes die. Patience doesn't have an economy
Dark
anymore.
Shrine is about to finish too. That's an extra factor in this crazy wonky game.
Both of the observers are over here with the army. Patience could have actually killed that observer.
Yeah, looks
Doesn't
like
see
he's
it.
just move commanding right now. I think Patience is panicking, to be honest with you, Valdez.
There he goes.
There
he
he
does
does.
get it, but
he needs to win the game with this army, and I don't think it's possible anymore. There's overcharges here. It's going to be about that Disruptor.
yeah, look at this
sure
army.
he doesn't lose it.
The 2 Void Rays and the Immortal with the Adepts with Resonating Glaives might just be enough support. But he's going to try. He's going to push on in here, fighting against that pylon. But with another Immortal coming out here, SOS very confident to take this fight.
Okay, big shot on the Adepts, but there's still so many more with the teleport in and the economy to reinforce. This is going to be game over. SOS outsmarts Patience in this series. Will take home the $800 and may solidify his spot over Zeth down at the bottom of the ranking. We see the Stalkers blink in here, but he has 0 probes at home.
Yep, he's got nothing but desperation at this point, and he will be blinking out of here. GG, SOS takes the 2-0, and that is really unfortunate for Patience. A lot of these, well, both these guys, him and Maru, who needed wins in order to secure a good spot and not have to play in that fast lane, they both go 0-2 very early on and very fast. They get spanked, to be perfectly honest.
That was a spanking.
Yeah.
It was a painful one.
SOS bent him over, made it quick, but Patience, man, I don't know. He lost against Stats 0-2 as well, but did defeat Zest barely 2-1. So it seems like his PvP nowadays is not all that great, and I'm sure you remember his 0-4 loss to Stats in SSL last year, which is where we were like, ugh, okay, I don't really want to see any more of this PvP, but yeah, definitely seeming to have a little bit of trouble in this matchup right now.
Definitely so. I feel like he was very nervous today. He made a lot of decisions and moves that they're just uncharacteristic for him. And like, for example, not dealing with the harassment at his third base. If he had just dealt with that, or had he committed to the base trade early, both of those things I think would have put him into a better position for winning the game. He had that amazing disruptor shot, but it wasn't enough when he lost all his probes right afterwards. So we're going to our third match of the night. Perhaps could be our best. Stats versus Innovation after a commercial break. We'll be right back.